Picture a druid. You're probably imagining a wizened old man with a chest-length white beard, clutching a wooden staff in a dark forest. Maybe you think of a role-playing game class casting nature spells, or a solitary hermit brewing magic potions. That deeply ingrained image is an illusion. The ancient Celts themselves left almost no written records, which meant their history was entirely documented by the people actively trying to conquer them. To justify their military expansion into Gaul, a territory encompassing present-day France and its surrounding regions, Roman generals like Julius Caesar deliberately framed these Celtic leaders as barbaric mystics and violent savages. It was a calculated political smear campaign designed to make the invasion look like a civilizing mission. The historical Druids functioned as the absolute bosses of the Celtic world, serving as Supreme Court justices, acting as elite diplomats, and leading natural scientists. Their power came from a total monopoly over the intellectual, legal, and spiritual foundations of their civilization. They didn't need to cast spells to command an entire society. Gaining entry into this elite class required enduring a grueling educational pipeline. Aspiring Druids submitted to a rigorous training regimen that lasted up to 20 years. The Celts maintained a strict cultural prohibition on committing their deepest knowledge to writing. Trainees had to commit the entire vast corpus of Celtic law, dynastic history, and natural science entirely to memory. To hold that massive archive in their minds, the students learned through complex metrical verses and highly structured oral transmission. This intense mental discipline ensured their specialized knowledge remained heavily guarded and strictly exclusive. That knowledge had highly practical applications in the physical world. Druids practiced advanced botany and natural philosophy, treating wounds and illnesses with an extensive understanding of plant-based medicine. The Roman author Pliny the Elder recorded their most famous botanical ritual. Pliny, a Roman natural philosopher, extensively documented ancient flora and fauna. He described a white-robed druid climbing a sacred oak tree to harvest a parasitic plant called mistletoe, using a golden sickle so the medically potent clippings would fall directly into a white cloth below. Roman outsiders looking at these elaborate botanical rituals often interpreted them as witchcraft. In reality, they were observing a highly organized, tightly gate-kept system of early medicine and natural science. Beyond the physical world, the Druids dominated the legal realm. In early Irish society, they served as Brehons, or professional judges. As the ultimate arbiters of justice, their authority frequently eclipsed that of the local chieftains and kings, who were forbidden from speaking at certain assemblies until their druid had spoken first. They presided over the highest stakes conflicts within the tribes. If a murder occurred, if an inheritance was contested, or if clans disputed territorial borders, the Druids weighed the evidence and handed down the final verdict. To unify this tribal law, the Druids convened massive annual assemblies at sacred geographic centers across Gaul and the British Isles. Thousands of people would travel to these specific consecrated earthworks and stone alignments to have their regional disputes settled. If someone refused to accept a verdict, the Druids deployed a devastating enforcement mechanism. They would excommunicate the defiant individual, barring them from attending public religious sacrifices. Within the ancient Celtic culture, this functioned as a total social death sentence, rendering the outcast a shunned exile. They didn't command a standing military force or a centralized police state. The Druids maintained absolute order across millions of people, relying entirely on the crushing weight of their legal and spiritual authority. That absolute authority wasn't restricted to men. The standard image of the bearded male elder ignores the fact that ancient Celtic society allowed women to achieve the highest ranks of spiritual and social power as Druidesses. Classical authors documented female Druids operating as revered community leaders, sought-after prophetesses, and the primary guardians of hallowed natural sites. One historical account describes the Gallicenae. These were a group of 9 virgin priestesses living on the Isle of Senna off the coast of Brittany, an area in northwestern France, who were renowned by sailors for their precise prophecies and their supposed mastery over the ocean's elements. The archaeological record backs up these accounts. At the Vix grave in Burgundy, France, researchers uncovered the remains of a remarkably wealthy Celtic woman. She was interred with elite ceremonial artifacts, including a massive golden torque, a rigid circular neck ring that served as a powerful symbol of high nobility and potential Druidic rank. The reverence for these female leaders reveals a society with a highly progressive distribution of intellectual and spiritual power, especially when compared to the rigidly patriarchal Roman world that was moving in to conquer them. That deep influence over the Celtic tribes ultimately made the Druids a massive target. As the Roman Empire expanded, they recognized the Druids' ability to unify disparate clans and negotiate alliances as a direct threat to Roman control. The Roman response was brutal and targeted. Under emperors like Tiberius and Claudius, Roman military units systematically hunted down the Druidic orders. In 60 CE, Roman forces launched a decisive, violent assault on the island in Anglesey off the coast of Wales, systematically destroying the primary Druid stronghold in Britain. What the Roman military started, the rise of Christianity finished. Over the ensuing centuries, arriving Christian missionaries deliberately absorbed Celtic pagan traditions, while actively demoting the remaining Druidic scholars. The former supreme judges were steadily reduced in the new religious hierarchy to mere wandering poets, bards, and mythic wizards in folklore. When we look back through the layers of Roman propaganda and medieval fantasy, the Druids emerge as an order defined by an unmatched, rigorous dedication to the pursuit of knowledge, the study of nature, and the administration of the law. Their unwritten libraries may have been deliberately erased by imperial conquest, but the Druids effectively architected a vast and complex civilization. It's an intellectual legacy that still manages to enchant our imaginations today.